The stuff Eddie was playing was so complex that if I try to get in there, it would almost turn into like one big mess. He said it almost sounds like the Cream Live records. He says there's like too much going on. And then he said my job was to hold the foundation down so he can go off and do what he wanted to do. So it just proves that Mike is such a good soldier, and he really worked hard at being that steady guy in Van Halen who was providing the background vocals, providing the bass lines, staying out of the way, and really supporting Eddie, like being a supporting player for Eddie. Mike was speaking a lot. This was interesting. He had like a whole section with just Mike, and he was talking about Gene Simmons and Kiss and how this whole thing really went down. You know, Gene Simmons claims that, Stern always says, oh, Gene Simmons always saying that he's the one who founded Van Halen, you know, like, or he discovered Van Halen, rather. And he said, Mike said, it was actually, they were playing at the Starwood, and Paul Stanley came down to see the opening act, which I'm assuming was The Boys with George Lind. And then Gene actually said, no, Paul, these are the guys that we should sign right here. And he pointed to Van Halen. And he said he flew them to New York to Electric Lady Studios to do a great demo, but it really went nowhere. And he said that Alex got so brazen that when they went into Bill Aucoin's office, Bill Aucoin's the famous manager of Kiss and Billy Idol and other people, and he said, where do we sign? And Bill Aucoin says, well, we can't use you. We just signed this band called Angel. And he says they ended up really going home with their tail between their legs because it was like this big thing that Kiss came to the Starwood and picked up Van Halen and took them to New York and recorded with it. And they came home like, wah, 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 like they really didn't work out. But he says really what happened is from that moment, all the record company interests really started to get going. So then when Mike was saying all this stuff and he was, you know, talking about himself and his role in the band, Stern said, well, can I ask you a question? Why the hell does Eddie slag Mike so much? This is insane. He sounds like he's been a straight-up guy and, you know. So Sammy said that Ed wasn't in a good mental place when he was doing that. He knows better than that. He was in trouble. And he even said, I was kind to him in my book. Which, my God, he was kind to him in that book.
Wow.
Holy shit. Then Stern went straight for the gut. And he said to Michael, he goes, so what's going on with you and Van Halen? Are you in contact with them? Are you going to tour with them again? There's rumors of that. And then, you know, Mike said, I was contacted by their management last October to see if I was interested in something. He says that's basically as far as it went. Management was trying to put something together and something broke down on their end. So then Stern said, well, would you even be interested? And Michael said, I'd be interested if it was done the correct way. The four original guys up there doing their thing. And then, you know, obviously, you know, Sammy stepped in and said, listen, I told Mike if they wanted to go out with Dave again, I don't care. I'll take the time off. Then they turned the spotlight over to Jason Bonham. And he was talking, this was really interesting. He was talking about how he approaches the Van Halen material. He goes, this is the way Alex plays Pound Cake. And he played Pound Cake just like Alex, the opening, you know, drum riff. Then he said, this is the way I do it. And he did it with this little immigrant song stutter in the drums. It was really kind of cool. And he says, you see how I added a little immigrant song in there? And then they played Finish What You Started. And it was so funny because Stern goes, so this song is from 1988. And Sam goes, nope, 87.
Right, I caught that.
I mean, this guy is
to save his life.
It's amazing. Thank God he doesn't do his own accounting. I mean, it's unbelievable. Oh my God!
Anything with a number, he just can't
it's
get
unbelievable.
Right.
But let me tell you something. I loved this version of Finish What You Started because you could really hear Mike's bass. And what a nice bottom it had between Mike's bass and that updated drum beat from Jason Bonham. That was incredible. Then
it was a nice performance.
I really thought that was great. Then they went into Why Can't This Be Love? And, you know, Sammy was saying, the first number one single and the first album. And then Mike did step in and say, well, we did have a number one single with Jump. And they talked about how Vic plays Eddie's keyboards, you know, on guitar, which I like, by the way. I thought that was very cool and very inventive. But then Sammy stepped in and said, that Eddie's an incredible keyboard player and a great musician, period. So he was praising Eddie all throughout this fucking thing. And he says, I didn't want to quit the band, but I knew it was over. You know, he obviously has a forlorn, look back there. Then they started getting into some of the new material. And obviously Stern was pretty jazzed on it because he was really getting into it. He played the opening song. Now, Sam is calling each song a chapter to this story. Chapter 1, The Devil Came to Philly, which is the Hey Hey song, had the phrase Hey Hey over and over again. And Stern said, do you want Eddie and Al to hear this record? Which I thought was a funny question. Sam says, I want them all to hear this record. I want Eddie and Al to sit down with Dave and listen to the whole thing. Now, the other thing I thought was interesting, was he says, are you going to play the album in full? Now, if you remember in our podcast in the past, that's what Sam's plan was for the live show. Now, apparently, it's been scrapped because I don't think promoters are letting him do the album in full because he says we have too history to career and too many hits, and to come out and play like 10 new songs, he says they don't think the audience is going to go for it. And when you're like a classic rock act, they kind of expect, like, you got the Sammy Hagar hits, you got the Van Halen hits. I mean, people are going to want to hear that stuff.
Right.
So apparently, they're doing a special concert for SiriusXM subscribers, and it's like a contest if you're a subscriber. Just go see them at the Troubadour. I believe it's May 7th in West Hollywood. And you got to go to SiriusXM.com/Sammy Hagar to enter, and you have to be a Sirius subscriber. Apparently, they're going to play the whole album in order and everything, and they're going to do some other songs, and then Sammy's going to take over Ozzy's Boneyard, which is one of the channels on SiriusXM, and they're going to play snippets of the concert throughout, along with, Sammy's music throughout the weekend. And then I think they're broadcasting that whole concert live, which might be interesting as well. So then on top of that, he played another snippet of another song, which was, I guess, Hey Hey Without Greed, in parenthesis, which is the end of the album. So it sort of opens up with Hey Hey, closes with Hey Hey a little bit. The first one is called Devil Came to Philly. The last one's really called Hey Hey, in parenthesis, Without Greed. I don't know, Dave. This is going to be an interesting record. I have heard 2 snippets here, and then the 2 songs are released. I don't know how this is all going to flow, but we will talk about that coming up. Then, of course, Stern goes for the gut again, and he goes, "Are you a billionaire?" He says to Sammy. Meanwhile, this freaking, Stern's got more money than God. And Sammy said he's worth about $250 million. Roughly. He's roughly, And then he says, "Michael, where are you?" And he goes, "I'm in there somewhere." Mike's nowhere near worth 250. Mike's not even worth 100. He's apparently he's worth somewhere around 55 million, which, by the way, is plenty of money. But anyway. Right. So then he got into the song Can't Hang, which we're going to discuss later on in the news, but that's the new single that came out from the album. Apparently, Sammy was inspired and worked with the When the Levee Breaks famous drum beat that, Jason's dad, John Bonham from Led Zeppelin did, but he said that Jason kind of redid it and added a little flavor. Then Sammy made a really bold statement and said, "You know what I'd really like? I'd really like the Circle to open up for Van Halen." Which I was like, he says they don't want to have Mike. Fuck it. I'll take him. Like, it was hysterical. And I was like, wow, that's pretty bold. It's pretty bold. And then he got into a little bit of the personal stuff with Eddie. And he said, "I don't want to take any enemies to the grave. No luggage. I try to get a hold of Eddie. I sent him a happy birthday message and got nothing in return. But I'm not mad at anybody. I wanted to apologize for making them feel insecure somehow. Whatever I did, I apparently did something." He goes, "I'm not mad at them for any reason. In fact, I invited Ed and Al over my house recently around Al's birthday." He says, "I wrote them an email, which I got from Irving Azoff, and I invited Ed and his wife and Al and his wife and got no response." He goes, "I had no agenda whatsoever, but what are you going to do?" And then Michael said that he was shocked that the brothers didn't respond. And then he went through the whole thing about how he spoke to Alex on the phone 2-3 years ago and had a 15 to 20-minute conversation that wasn't music-related, just sort of life stuff. And then Sammy concluded with, I love those guys. I don't want to be back in that band. I swear to God, I love this band here, but I'd just like to be friends. So that was sort of the summation of the Van Halen section of the interview with Stern. What do you make of all this, Dave?
Well, I'm glad we kept that under 90 minutes of the original interview. That's so it's all, Stern being Stern, interesting. He's really jazzed on the album, so it's piqued my curiosity. So we'll see where that goes. If you ask Sam about Van Halen, he'll answer it. It's nice that Howard gave everybody time for Q&A. So some good PR for Sam and the band.
Yeah, he even talked to Vic. No one talks to poor Vic. And he even went to Vic, because Vic used to be in that band, the Bus Boys, which Eddie Murphy was associated with. They did the song The Boys Are Back in Town, which was from the 48 Hour soundtrack. And
Right.
The Bus Boys had opened for Eddie, and then he got into like how they were supposed to do the second tour, which is the tour that he filmed Raw off of, and then that someone in the band got into it with Eddie, and that whole relationship broke down. Oh, it was hysterical. I mean, he's amazing. He gets into everything. So we are moving on to our next section, which is David Lee Roth came back. Oh my God, in a big way, this guy. Not only did he come back, but wow, he came out swinging here, and he appeared at the Ultra Music Festival in Miami, Florida. This guy, what a character. So Dave came out, and he did a guest spot with DJ Armin van Buuren for a surprise guest appearance where Armin was doing a massive remix of Jump. So imagine these DJ sets. I don't know if any of you have ever seen them. It's like turning the whole concert into sort of a club atmosphere. There's a lot of lights and smoke and effects and lasers and stuff, and the music is pulsating. And so it's Jump, but it's all remixed, and, it's not just the standard, and it's got like, the 130 beats per minute to it. And then Roth appears, of course, and, master of ceremonies over here. And he comes out wearing this like shiny blue jacket, and then with his new haircut. And, he's typical Dave, coming out on stage. He goes, I think we know each other. Are you ready to jump? And he's screaming, and he's sort of acting like the hype man. Now, there was actually nothing wrong with the remix. It was pretty cool, and it was pretty inventive. But Roth kept commenting all over it on the mic. As you know, David can't shut up. So he kept saying, are you ready for what's real? Are you ready for put a little boom in the room? And then he said, hands up, put your hands up. And he's like running around. And so that was a little nutty. What did you make of that whole thing, Dave?
The remix was fine.
Yeah.
But the performance was horrible because of Roth talking over it.
Yeah.
It's like you can't appreciate the remix because Roth is too busy being Roth.
Right.
And I was like, wait a minute. So what's I don't fault Roth at all because you're in front of an audience of thousands and thousands of people.
Right.
So, I mean, really, who's going to turn that down, right?
Right, of
Not
course,
him, that's for sure.
Of course.
But in terms of a performance, I'm like, so let me get this straight. So the DJ plays a song and Roth is just like commenting over it. It like killed it for me.
Right.
It killed it. When he's like, I think we know each other, I guarantee you, like most of the people in the audience were like, who's the old guy talking over the song? Right?
Yeah.
So,
I
was kind of like, it really, like him talking over the song.
Yeah.
Really ruined it for me. And then the few times he started singing.
Oh, boy.
At the same time, his 1984 self was singing.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh.
I know.
Because you can hear I hate to say this, but you can hear the difference.
Yeah,
it's like night and day.
Right.
It just really did not do him any favors.
No, it didn't. So that was sort of a weird situation. Then on top of that, he relaunches his podcast, The Roth Show, which is bizarre because he doesn't make it available on iTunes. I don't quite understand. He has it on YouTube, and I think he might have it on his website. I think he's doing this for two reasons. Number one, to promote his ink the original. And by the way, he insists on everybody saying it that way. Did you hear about this? He wants everybody to say, Ink, the original. Like that. I don't know. That's his thing.
He's got a lot of things, that guy.
Yeah, he does. So I think he's looking to promote Ink, the original. And